What is up? I'm Shelby Bumgarner, and welcome to the third episode of True Blue Podcast, a podcast launched by Blue Devil Network and Duke Athletics to shed light on what makes Duke student athletes human. Today, I'm with a very special guest, Kwasi. I'm a freshman on the Duke wrestling team. Today, we're going to talk about growing up in New York, his wrestling career, and his future aspirations of becoming a lawyer. Welcome, Kwasi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me very much.
I do have to say, we're matching today. The all black, even down to the shoes.
Yes.
How do we feel about that?
I feel like great minds think alike, you know. I just feel like it was the universe telling us that this is going to be a great episode.
It's going to be a great podcast.
Exactly.
And also, your ability to come here 3 days before ACCs is pretty crazy. So I appreciate you. I'm excited for you. And your first ACC tournament ever. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. You know, I feel like coming here definitely releases the tension of this weekend, especially talking, which is something I love to do, of course. And I just think coming into this weekend, it's definitely great to have the time to share what motivates me, share what motivated me to come here to do what I came to do, my passions. And after that, I think it's a great introduction to how I'm going to approach this weekend, my mentality, and, you know, everything that comes with it.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you. I guess we start at the beginning. Your parents, right before you were born, they immigrated to the United States from Ghana. Tell me about your early life. Walk me through that and walk me through your parents' decision to come to the States.
Well, my parents came from big families. My dad is from Kumasi and my mom is from Tema. And they had lots of siblings, you know. Their parents wanted a better life for them, wanted them to get an education, you know, wanted them to have the world at their feet, you know, and just have a better life than they previously did. My dad, he has like 4 brothers and 4 sisters. My mom, she has 3 brothers and I'm pretty sure a couple sisters as well. I mean, you would think they had an infinite amount, the amount of people I call uncle and auntie, but that's a different story. But yeah, they came here for a better education, you know. They both went to LIU. My dad, he got his bachelor's, I think, in chemistry. And my mom, she wanted to be a pharmacist. They just wanted a better life. They wanted to get educated and have the world at their feet. Like I said, you know, it wasn't a decision they took lightly. You know, they just wanted an opportunity to have a better life than the villages they came from, the traditional people they came from, the tribes they came from, the cities they came from. And it was just an opportunity they couldn't pass up. And, you know, growing up in that type of mindset, in that type of, you know, motivation, it just allowed me to be more grateful for everything that they wanted and everything that they pursued.
How is the Ghana culture still a part of your life?
Oh, it's still very much a part of my life. Shout out to Ghana. It is. There was Ghana Independence Day a couple days ago or yesterday, I believe. And it was just an opportunity for me to enjoy my culture, see everything going on the internet, people having full-on photo shoots just because of their culture, just because of their Independence Day, seeing the NFL bring their players to Ghana and have them meet the royalty there, the king. And it was just amazing to see. And it just reminded me of another motivation of why I do this, because I love my culture so much, because I enjoy what my culture has given to me, the identity it made me into, you know, just being Ghanaian, being a part of that culture, being a part of a system of family in which everybody calls each other uncle and auntie, in which I enjoy all the cousins that I may not be related to, may be related to, all the people that just helped me along the way and helped me grow up and gave me so many lessons from Sunday school and church to, you know, the barbecues, the cookouts. It just made me so warm inside and so amazed about how much my culture is just full of life, you know, just vibrant, you know.
And that's who you are.
Yeah.
So I believe a couple months ago you participated in a Ghana wedding here at Duke. Tell us a little bit more about that.
That was probably the most fun I've had at Duke thus far. Like,
not wrestling, not in academics.
I'm gonna be honest, yeah, a Ghana wedding, you know. So Duke Africa, they have a Ghana wedding every single year. Not a Ghana wedding, an African wedding every single year, and they basically choose a random country. I think that's how the process goes, and they chose Ghana this year. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, I have to go. It has to be a must, and it was so much fun seeing my friends from different African countries, Ethiopia, Eritrea, all those, Cameroon, Liberia, all of my friends from those different places, different African countries celebrating together. And they had like a skit of the Ghana wedding, shout out to Duke Africa. They did an amazing job. They had fake dollar bills with, the fake family on their faces on it. It was so amazing. I actually competed in a dance battle there.
I'm sure you won.
Actually, I didn't, unfortunately. They were sleeping on me, but that's a different story. But yeah, it was the most fun I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It was amazing.
Was that like one of the ways that you feel as a man of color you were accepted and seen here at Duke?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it's hard to find your community specifically at Duke, despite all the centers and stuff like that, because it's just, we have a limited amount of time throughout the day to get our classes done, to do extracurriculars. And on top of that, you got to find your community as well. And, while there may be all those resources, it may not be as easy to pursue them in between your schedule. Like me as an athlete, I don't always get to go to BSA meetings, UBA meetings. Shout out to the Black Student Line. Shout out to United Black Athletes. Shout out to Duke Africa, all of those things. And people of different communities, Asian, Jewish, whatever, in between our crazy lives, we don't invest in our community as much as we would if we had the free time, because of we're trying to be the next scientists, engineers, lawyers, doctors. And I think it's amazing how Duke has provided the opportunity for us to do that. And I think it's amazing how we get to invest in that when we can. And the only thing I would change is having more time to invest in those opportunities.
Absolutely. So going back to your family, you grew up with multiple siblings. Your parents had a bit of a financial strain, if I'm correct, and they worked multiple jobs. It wasn't the most ideal situation growing up. You had to become a caretaker. Tell me about that.
It was more of, my parents had the financial strain, and rather than regular kids not worrying about that, that was on my mind constantly. And I put myself on kind of a budget as a kid. I would say like, Dad, what's the budget for today? As like a joke when we would go to the mall, get shoes, not going over like $60, $70, $80, because I wanted to make sure my dad and my mom were taken care of, and I didn't want to be a burden on them, and stuff like that. And especially when it came to my sister too, trying to remind her to do the same thing, trying to be there for her, trying to be a good big brother for her. It was just an opportunity for me to lighten the strain on my parents, and I tried to do that whenever I could. As a kid, waking up early on Sunday mornings to do my work so they didn't have to ask me, didn't have to say anything. It's just stuff like that made me more grateful for the opportunities I had, the people I had to help me, give me rides when my parents were working 12 hours in a day, 16 hours in a day, help me out when I didn't have money to get the equipment or shoes or headgear or knee pads and stuff like that. Shout out to my coaches back at home, Baldwin, Marrero, Murph, Stu, Ramirez, Aljamain Sterling, he coached us too, Coach Smith. It's just all those people. Rogers, he would get mad at me if I didn't mention him, but just all those people that helped me along the way, and make sure I was taken care of when my parents, couldn't fulfill that role, that opportunity for a second. It was that was the kind of thing that, shaped me into the person I am.
How was it being there for your siblings and also being there for your parents as well?
I didn't have to be there for them as much as they were there for me. And just seeing them accomplish so much within their own lives and even when they got beaten down, even when, they came through a hardship, they still overcame that to get to the next opportunity, the next door that will open. It was definitely encouraging and motivating, because it made me want to compete with them. I'm going to be better than you. I want to have better grades than you. I want to accomplish more than you, because I know the standard you set. I know the bar you put on all of us, and my siblings, I appreciate them wholeheartedly for that.
And I'm sure you guys have the best role models in parental figures, which is also super powerful. Obviously, like, their work environment was indifferent, but they really influenced your academic and athletic drive? Tell me about that.
When your parents work multiple jobs and they come home and they're so tired, they're not always able to teach you things, they're not always able to, hold your hand through everything. That's the type of thing my dad and my mom definitely inculcated in us, and that was probably the greatest gift they've ever given us, our competitive drive. So.
Absolutely. And that translates to wrestling as well. Kwasi, you are sunshine. It's apparent, like before this interview, we're laughing, we're giggling, we're having a good time. You bring light to every room that you walk into. You recently spoke at the DEIB panel. All my teammates were absolutely encapsulated by the way that you speak and the way that you influence people. Where does this stem from?
This stems from one, my love to talk. I love to talk. I love to have that gift of the gab. I love talking to people. And two, I was a very hyperactive kid throughout elementary school and middle school, even high school before I really calmed down. If you really know me, I'm hyper. I tried to put my best foot forward. I try to talk to everyone. I'll talk to a stranger. I'll talk to anybody, just to learn about people, and that stems from, my interest in people, my interest in talking to people, and my interest in making people smile. I like to joke about calling myself an entertainer because I love entertaining people. I love to make people laugh, smile, giggle. I love hearing people's stories. I love picking people's brains. And that's really important to me. Because I feel like everybody has a story that not everybody gets to tell. And if you just have someone to hear that, I feel like it could go a long way.
Kwasi, you're a freshman and you're making an image for yourself on campus, academically, athletically, but most importantly, because of who you are. What do you make of this? What do you attribute this to?
I attribute this to not only my teammates, but my friends, my family around me. Shout out to the wrestling team. Shout out to my roommate, Wilson, Logan Fight himself, because they just help me understand and express myself to a different level. Not only mentally, but physically as well. With my friends, they teach me new things all the time, teach me different things about my identity, whether it be me as an African-American, me as a Black person, me as the son of African immigrants, me as a student athlete, or with my teammates, me as like a wrestler, me as a person who goes through physical and mental tribulations every single day. They just help me understand myself to a degree that I can grow from and learn from.
Like I said before, you recently spoke at the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion panel. How was that experience? Why do you love public speaking?
That experience was so fun. I wasn't expecting it to be so exciting. It was so amazing telling my story and just seeing people learn and process what I'm saying and experience that to a level they haven't before, And when people hear my story, I'm glad that it's something they haven't heard before, and I hope it's something they haven't heard before, so I can contribute something to their lives and help them learn something, And it's just so amazing.
Kwasi, you like to speak up for people. You care for people deeply. Do you contribute these qualities to you becoming a lawyer?
I do, because my motivations for becoming a lawyer is to help people express a certain perspective that they haven't been able to express before, help them communicate in a way they haven't been able to before. And not only do that, but help people understand things that they don't understand, because in this world, in this day and age, just a lot of words can get misconstrued, a lot of actions can get misconstrued, a lot of behaviors. And I think that someone and more people need to be able to help people through those times.
I remember when we talked initially and I asked you that question, you said, Shelby, I want to do something for my parents. I want to do something for me as a younger Kwasi that I didn't have these opportunities growing up, and I want to give people these opportunities that I didn't have. Would you say that that's still true today?
Yes, that is still true today, because when it comes down to wanting to become a lawyer, I feel like advocating for people that can't do it for themselves is important in today's day and age. And when I look at the younger Kwasi who didn't have anybody to advocate for him, who had to learn things on his own, who had to go through the trials and tribulations on his own, who had to go through hardships on his own, I feel as if a person would have spoken up for me and been there for me during times when I was getting called names, or I was getting bullied or something like that. I feel like I would have been better off and would have been better motivated to do what I want to do today and would have gotten there a lot quicker, and especially for my family as well. They didn't have many people to advocate for them, especially moving to this country, especially trying to make a living. They did not have many people to advocate for them.
You talk very commonly about racial injustice. What can universities and our society do better?
I feel like universities and society in general can foster more change by acknowledging it exists. Because I feel as if, different events can be promoted, different things like that, but no one on a giant scale, on a giant societal and governmental scale, I think that I've seen really acknowledges those injustices that happen in higher institutions, higher education institutions, and how that affects students.
Kwasi, tell me about your experiences as a man of color in the wrestling community.
I mean, during high school, it was definitely stranger for people to see the success I was having and then the academic success I was having as well, and then truly believe that it was an approachable thing, an approachable goal, although we're not little in number, we are not little in number, but like African Americans are not little in number in wrestling, definitely more strides in recent years. Wrestling has the most participation it's seen in a lot of years. There's definitely some implicit bias that happens within the sport and within the community when they see someone like me accomplish the things that they have on and off the mat. Because when I was coming up in high school, got my breakthrough season, became a contender for state title, whatever, many people were surprised about my academic performance and how smart I was. I don't know whether it's because of my race or rather the stereotype that all wrestlers are dumb, but but it was just, it went a long way towards me questioning that and questioning myself a lot. Like, what about me is so weird, and when relating it to college itself, I don't think there's any experience to write home about. Obviously it's not very rare, but obviously we're a minority within the sport. It's mostly a white male sport, but we don't see it that way. We see each other as wrestlers. We see each other as, you're lining up in my weight class. You're the same weight as me. You bleed like me. You're a man like me, and that's the only thing I care about. I'm not going to care about your skin color when I'm trying to take you down, when I'm trying to put you on the mat, when I'm trying to pin you on your back. I'm not going to worry about that. And that's not a factor within our sport, And I don't think I may be wrong, but I don't think there's any implicit bias about that within our sport because everybody wants to wrestle. It doesn't matter if you're black, blue, or white polka dots. Like it doesn't matter at all,
Obviously, wrestling poses many physical and mental strains on the body. Tell me about these experiences and how you've overcame them.
So, yeah, I would say wrestling, no offense to any other sports, I would say wrestling is probably the most mentally and physically taxing sport that there is, or one of, because not only are you using your whole entire body, all of your muscles, but it takes a toll on your mind when you have to cut weight, when you have to approach another man, another person who is cutting weight. And, you have to wrestle them and put your whole entire body, put your whole entire spirit into taking them down, scoring points, And I would just like to say, I'm going to correct myself by saying it's not selective to men anymore, and I'm so happy about that. Women are making much strides, crazy strides in this sport, and it's amazing to see that. It's amazing to see them flip that narrative, flip that script in order for them to truly be empowered and to truly support themselves, and be self-sufficient. And I love that. I love that so much. So not just a man.
Snaps to that.
Snaps to that. Not just a man, but as a person, when you see yourself losing that weight, when you see yourself looking in that mirror, cutting weight, saying, why am I do this? And you still hold that passion for wrestling, saying, because wrestling is just a fight without rules. I mean, a fight with rules, sorry. And when you get to do that and you get to win, it's probably the most satisfying thing in the world. But many people don't know the physical and mental strain behind it. We have to go to the recovery room, the training room every day, to help ourselves. We're doing Olympic lifts up and down every other day. And it's just going through that myself, it's definitely been taxing. It's definitely been hard.
Especially as a freshman, I would assume.
Yeah, especially as a freshman. It's going to take some getting used to. I'm still getting used to it, I deal with it by journaling. I deal with it by writing down. I still need to hold myself high, and I won't let myself be conquered by any of the losses, any of the hardships, any of that, and that's really helped me with my mental stability within my sport.
How do you balance wrestling being an individual and also a team sport here at Duke?
I feel like with the team aspect, it's just inculcated in everything you do within wrestling until it comes time to actually be on the mat. They're always there with you during practice. They thrive with you, they die with you, during practice, and it's just separating that just comes down to the actual match itself. We are together every second leading up to that meet, leading up to that tournament, practicing, trying to work through weight cutting, trying to work through getting our bodies right, getting our minds right. And we're there to lean on each other sometimes. We motivate each other. And that's an essential part to wrestling, because to know that you don't go through this alone, to know that you have your team by your side, supporting you and being there for you is a great thing. And when it's the individual aspect, I just use that as another motivation. My team's behind me. You got this. You're ready to win.
Kwasi, why do you love Duke, and why do you love Duke wrestling?
I love Duke because it fosters, I'm glad you asked me this. I love Duke because it fosters so much opportunity for you to connect and thrive within those connections. I like Duke because when I come here and I wrestle, when I come here and go to class, when I do anything like that, so many people are so welcoming to learn about you, to learn your story, to help you reach that next chapter in your story, reach that next step on your path, whether it be you, the upperclassmen, whether it be the different faculty here, whether it be my teammates, whether it be the students here in my classes, my friends, everybody's willing to give you the opportunity and the time of day, which is why I love Duke so much.
I love that answer. And I love the way that you're so passionate about life. You're so passionate about Duke. It's so inspiring, and I can't wait for people to hear this as well. What are your plans for your future? Obviously, you're a freshman. What do you want to get out of this Duke experience? And what can you see yourself doing after you're done at Duke?
I want to change the narrative of what it is to be human, to care about other human beings, to share your experience, because I feel like that's so important. Why limit ourselves to who we want to listen to and what we're open to? That's crazy to me.
Mic drop. You're amazing. You're going to change any room that you walk into. Your voice and the way that you speak and the way that you captivate people is really, really special. And especially as a freshman, I'm taken back. You were a great third guest on the True Blue podcast. Just an honor to have you. I can't wait for people to hear your story and who you are. And when you walk around campus, people see you as this bubbly, giggly, happy self, but they're also going to see you as an amazing human who's doing great things in the student athlete community. Thank you to Duke Athletics, and thank you to Blue Devil Network for putting this on. It's an honor to be the host, and it's an honor to be a part of the Duke athletic community.
It's an honor myself, trust me. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to be here with you, to share this with you.
Absolutely. Go Duke.